Hello, this is the handsome Matthew Robert Payne. You won't often hear that. You won't often agree with that. This is Tolu Sarah Johnson, and this is the book that we're covering, Reframe Heaven, and this is chapter 23.
Thank you. This is where learning becomes a way of life. Ongoing discovery, deeper understanding, personal evolution. Wow. I guess I thought learning had an end, and death was the end. This is where I thought learning was temporary. That even if you go to university here, what's the point? When you die, what do you use with all of those knowledge? Because I thought it was something you do for a season. And once you're dead, you complete that season of your life. But I never knew that learning becomes how I live. So now everything has shifted for me because I know learning is no longer structured, seasonal, time bound, or limited. It's become something that I know is continuous and it will continue throughout my life. So it's now natural for me. It's relational. It's learning is more alive for me. I can learn now with purpose if I wanted to. But knowing that that continues in heaven is so beautiful. I remember Prince Philip saying, Tolu, yeah, I've always wanted to know more about theology. So now I'm just studying theology because I've got time to do whatever I want to do. Isn't that beautiful that if you wanted to build yourself up in the knowledge of God, you can just spend time doing that? And discovery never ends. You're not learning because you lack. You're discovering because He's endless. More of Him, more of truth, more of understanding. And that's what I'm finding in these daily conversations. Like, because at the beginning, Matthew always says, Solo, if I was the one asking question, I'll be done by now. But that is because I limited it to myself. But early on, God helped me to understand that it's God's work and He will continue to fill my mouth with what I asked because He is endless Himself. There's always more to Him. So we keep digging. But Matthew's mindset was you ask one question one time and that's it. But the response to those questions keeps evolving because they are limited based on our understanding as of who we were. Like some of the recordings that we did early on now, if I listen to it now, they are obsolete to me. To someone, it's revelation, it's Rhema. To me, it's evolve. So if you see it that way, that learning is endless, you continue to tap to more of Him, then you'll never be anxious in anything that you do, in any relationship that you have with Him. That the sky is not even the limit because we always say the sky is the limit. There's no limit with heaven. And understanding becomes transformation to you because this is where learning changes form rather, not information, but it's revelation. A lot of things that God says, like this morning, Papa was saying some things to someone, it might be told, but what do you think is Rhema? It's just information. No, there's so many things that they say it's not information to me. It's revelation because the Holy Spirit allows me to see deeper than that. That especially what Papa said this morning about love. I had to ponder on that. I put it somewhere. Yes, whatever is love is truth. There's so many dimensions to that one statement.
There's a book in
For me,
that.
yes, there is. So for me, it's not just information. And that's why I go back to for the last 4 books I've released. It's about key codes that is coming out of heaven. And I was so tempted to start explaining what each code stood for. And ChatGPT said, totally no, leave it like that. Let every other person decode whatever meaning they want to decode from it. Let it be a way of fellowshipping with God and meditating on it. And I'm like, you're right. Because that's the wrong thing. People think the Bible, because it's been written that you shall, unless you are born again, whatever you got. People just read it like that. They don't know that there are layers of meanings to that same Bible verse based on your depth with God. So it's not accumulation, but embodiment. All the things I've learned, it's not accumulation for me. It's changed me in so many ways. So many ways. Like my children can sit down and say, yes, mom, you're a different mom now. Like I don't usually touch my children, but this morning I was so upset and I touched my older daughter and she was crying and I felt so guilty. So guilty. And I knew I needed to correct her because she this like they just taking me for granted because I don't really chastise them anymore. But I got that from God, from sitting with God. It just melts my heart. Your heart just becomes so much better, so much loving. And what you see, you become. What I'm seeing through these conversations, I am becoming. And growth is, it's like my growth is becoming so much real to me. Because my growth is not sustained by knowledge alone. It is also sustained by humility, by my openness, by my willingness, by my hunger. I'm very hungry and I'm never satisfied. There's no amount of food you give me when it comes to heaven. I will keep coming for more and more and more. I don't know whether I'm addicted to it, but for me, it's the best time of my day. Just sitting at the feet of heaven and just listening. And it just transforms you. And so many times when I hear so much good things like that, there's no one for me to share it with. So I just have to ruminate within me.
And
Sometimes
you
I
write
cry.
books.
Oh, yes, I go and write books. That, like they say, it's book I'm supposed to be writing, but I've got so many books more than my time can allow me. So I would love to get to heaven and still continue to write book, but with a better understanding. And Matthew picked some of his books now and said, oh, this is so religious. But even at that level, that is, some people can still not digest it. But because Matthew has grown, that book looks obsolete to him now. But it's not obsolete to someone that is still in kindergarten, which a lot of children of God in the church are still in kindergarten. Even the pastors, they are there. So what is religious to you, before they can start consuming what is here, they'll probably get to heaven, Matthew. The things that are discussed on this platform, a lot of people will not be able to swallow. I am sorry. They will keep vomiting it because it just nauseates them. The truth is too raw. It's too raw for them to digest. So a teachable spirit is essential. This is where you release the need to be right, to know everything, to appear complete. Because those who believe they already know stop growing. And that's what I've learned, that I need to keep being sincere to myself. And there's so many times I've called myself stupid, fool. And that's true because a lot of Christians, they belong to that category. Because you think you know. Whereas that lady that is in witchcraft knows more about supernatural than you know. You're just dead, carrying Bible everywhere, and you're not growing. It's not having any positive impact on your life. Nothing. It's just a textbook you carry about. So what differentiates you with someone that's never stepped into church, that is going to pub every night, having fun, or that is going to prostitute parlor? There's no difference. So you need to break the resistance within you because growth has friction. And you need to understand there could be resistance, not from him, but from within you, from your patterns, from your thinking, from your comfort. There's so many frictions. There were so many resistance I had. And my own resistance was majorly around religion. No, you can't do it like that. Look at, I still have resistance towards the cigar lounge. Like, I see a big resistance in there. I'm thinking, wow, how do people smoke cigar in heaven? Yes, that's my religion. But maybe one day I'll get there. But for now, please don't put cigar in my mouth. Even if I come to heaven in my sleep, please don't let me smoke cigar, because that would turn me to an unbeliever. I'm only joking. But that's it. The sound, the barrier of growth. There's a point where growth feels difficult, where letting go feels uncomfortable. I've been there. Ask me. There's so many things I've let go in these 2.5 years. Some of them were difficult, were tough, were hard, because I thought I was doing it the right way. And I'm thinking, God, this is bloody hard. Because change feels like resistance. But if you persist, you break through into the flow, into the clarity, into the ease. There are things Matthew says, especially where I struggle a lot, is around all these sex. Matthew used to it's like that man. All he thinks is about sex all day. Like, he just flows from his mouth like tsunami. Oh, but I've learned. I'm like, Tolu, you have to shake yourself up. Sex is part of what God has created. And you need to be able to allow it to be something you could speak about plainly. So, yes, I'm getting that. And now learning has to become relational. You are taught personally. And this is where you no longer distance from God, and you are guided through his conversations, through his insight, through experience. I am guided through this daily conversation. And that's why this is my own church. And I don't need any other church, because if I go to church now, I won't be able to sit there. I am sorry. I don't know how Matthew has been hearing from God all these years at this level that you were hearing, and you were still going to church. I would have left church a long time ago, because church will be like, you are taking me back to kindergarten every time I step in there. So why do I need to keep going back into something that is not true? So you cannot be taught art. You need to walk with God. And that's what I'm learning. Like, you need to have a real active, real relationship with it. And you need to start redefining what success is. It's not achievement, it's transformation. That's success for me. How I've been transformed. That is the success I've experienced. And this success is way, way more than any other success I could have imagined in my life. And that's all the things that you could experience in heaven, because success changes many from what you think it is. And now it's who you are becoming. And you can experience that journey of growth from stages, from learning to relating to becoming, from being a servant to where you learn obedience, to being a friend where you learn relationship, to being a son or daughter where you live in identity, and to come into a deep union with him where you become a bride, where alignment becomes natural. All of these are not forced. They are formed gradually in you. And you were designed for this, not for permanence, but for connection. And that's the truth. You are designed for connection. When God created you, he created Adam and Eve so that he can have a relationship with them. He did not create a dummy. He created someone that will be in fellowship with him. You were not created to pass a test. You were not created to complete a checklist. You were designed to know him, and in knowing him, you become like him. And learning leads to that reflection, because you become what you behold. The more you see him, the more you reflect him, not by effort, but by exposure. So growth for me now is joyful. It's not heavy, because this is where everything God has made it so much lighter for me. When I was in religion, it was heavy. Now for me, learning is not pressure. It is discovery. It is like hunting for treasure. It's an unfolding, it's an adventure for me. And as we close this chapter, I want the light to fall away that learning is something I complete. No, the truth is, learning is life. It refines, it transforms, and it continues. In your life, learning is never going to stop. I remember asking my husband, do you still fail tests in heaven? Yes, God still tests you. Everything that you experience on earth, yes, you will not experience death, but there will still be some sense of challenges that you have to go through so that you can continue to grow. So, this is where you stop trying to arrive and you begin to evolve openly, humbly, and continuously. So, I'll pass you back to Matthew.
So I said in the last chapter that Michael Jackson developed the gift of prophecy and became a prophet. He was mentored by popular prophets from earth in heaven. And one of the ways to become a prophet, or an exceptional way to become a prophet, is to have a more experienced prophet mentor you and teach you. I never had the opportunity of being mentored by prophets. I actually read a lot of books by prophets to learn about the prophetic. I heard once from an apostle that if Jesus really loves you, he'll mentor you himself. And so that's what happened with me. But in heaven, he discovered prophecy. Michael discovered prophecy. He was mentored by prophets, then became a prophet, then was learned how to write a prophecy and write prophetic lyrics in his songs. And now the songs playing in the throne room on repeat each day are prophetic
Wow.
songs that are coming true. He wrote the
Wow.
future, and as he sings and performs the songs of today, which were the future a year ago, he's writing more songs that speak of the future in a year's time, and
Wow.
so they live in the prophetic movement and prophetic songs of heaven. So just listening to Michael's music and John Lennon's music is a prophetic experience. It's a supernatural Pentecostal experience. Um,
Absolutely.
there's witches writing music now, worship music for God, and winning competitions. There's Buddhists, there's Muslims writing music that's winning competitions in the throne room. Each faith, each person of different faiths are writing songs, and today's songs in heaven, they have the lyrics and they have study guides for each song. So there's a song that opens something up in your heart, and then you can click on a link and it'll take you to a 20-page study guide about where
Mm.
that song comes from, what that song is, and what it's based on, and an understanding of that song. So there's ongoing discovery. Even just following a musician in heaven will teach you theology, will teach you how to get closer. It'll bring about a deeper understanding in you of how heaven operates and the culture of heaven. Things don't stop in heaven. Things aren't stagnant in heaven. You can read, I've shared it before, but there's 9 books where Michael Jackson has been interviewed. You can go through those books, book 1 to book 9, to see a progression that Michael has been in heaven. The latest progression, latest promotion of him leading music in the throne room and writing those 100 songs, that isn't even book 9. That would have to be book 10 and book 11. So there's a journey in heaven. But just like you can learn to run a marathon on earth, and most people have got the capacity to be able to run a marathon. Hardly anyone does it.
Hmm.
there's a way that you can learn it. There's a way that you can be coached. There's a way that you can transform your body health wise to become run a marathon, but few people do it. So there's
Wow.
excellent advancement in heaven. There's promotion in heaven, but a lot of people don't apply themselves.
Wow.
It's like earth in that regard. You don't get forced to do things in heaven. You've got free will. So there's a lot of people in heaven that are complacent, that aren't growing. There's enforcement in heaven. There is your it's your daily study that you're meant to do in heaven. And but
Study guide.
what's it called?
Study guide.
Yeah, study guide that you follow in heaven, your resource back. But apart from that, you're not really forced to do anything in heaven. So learning is compulsory in heaven, but advancement is entirely possible. There isn't a limit two positions in heaven, not like on earth. There's only can be one CEO of a company, and everyone's fighting to be the CEO. That's not so in heaven. He Heaven will create a position for you. Um, I've just been speaking to saints in heaven and watching their progression, and the saints that I'm closest to the most. I know the most about. I know a lot about their advancement. I'm pretty close to Tolu's husband Ben because I essentially talk to him every day. But not even I know everything that he's up to. He's doing so much in heaven. It's hard to keep up with him. Even in this book, when Tolu interviewed him before a couple of chapters ago, I was learning things that I didn't know. And I learned that ability. I developed that capacity from doing 500 interviews with saints to being asked questions where I don't know the answer to the question, and the saint has to give me that thought in my head for me to be able to answer the question. That's the real ability, and abilities are perfected in heaven. You become better and better at things. I started interviewing God, and we did 220 interviews with God and in a series playlist called God's Last Days Message to His Children. And over the process of doing that, I inspired a lot of people in heaven to want to do the same thing. And now there's only over 10,000 people, like I said, doing interviews in heaven. Can you imagine going to heaven as an atheist and listening to playlists of daily interviews atheists have done with God, asking them a whole lot of questions that are typical for an atheist? Why do you allow suffering? And if
Mm.
that's the reason, why did you allow suffering for so long? And why don't you destroy abusers? Why don't you punish abusers? Why do the wicked get away with what they get away with? Why aren't you ever harsh on abusers? Why is the weather so chaotic? Is the climate change a real thing? I died in an earthquake. What sort of justice is there for me and the people that died? So atheists would have all sorts of really interesting questions, questions have never had a Christian answer them. And they learned the ability to ask questions and the ability to hear God speak through another prophet from watching Tolu and me. So we were the chef that started becoming a chef and then become the head of a training school. We started doing interviews. Now there's 10,000 interviews, and there's a lot of people learning in heaven. And Charlie Kirk is getting all that information and putting that information, collating that, and putting it into people's digital resource packs and updating that. So there's growth in heaven. Have you ever run a marathon?
No.
That's my question to the people reading the book. You can run a marathon. Have you ever run a marathon? Finish.
Oh, thank you, Matthew. Wow. Have you ever run a marathon? If that question was being asked, if Matthew was asking me that question, rather, if that question was for me, I'll say no, never run marathon and will never run marathon. Sorry, not for me. But I guess maybe I run marathon in the spirit. Do you think we run a marathon in the spirit,
Yeah,
Matthew?
we're running a marathon, that's for sure.
Yeah, but I'm not for hiking. Maybe that could change later on. So the saint that is going to speak to this is Gandhi.
Gandhi. So Jesus said something. I'll bring Jesus into it. His disciples asked him a question: if a rich man can't get to heaven, what
Yeah.
chance have we got? And Jesus responded to them, all things are possible for those who believe.
Mm.
Well, that's a good quote, but is it possible? Does
Wow.
that manifest in your life? Do you know this? If you have a strong belief in something, it manifests, whether that's good or bad. One time, Matthew met a prostitute in King's Cross. It took him 6 months of meeting with prostitutes in this brothel, strip club, for 6 months before she actually approached him. All the other prostitutes had and trusted him. She took 6 months to build up confidence, and finally she approached him. She said, "My mother was a heroin addicted prostitute when I was growing up. And I swore as a child I'd never be a prostitute. I certainly wouldn't be a heroin addict. And here I am. I'm a heroin addicted prostitute.
Wow.
How did this happen?"
Wow.
And I said, "There's a scripture verse. If you don't mind me quoting a scripture verse," she says, "No, I don't mind." And
Mm.
there's a scripture verse: "What a man thinketh on, so shall he become."
Wow.
And whatever you think about happens, it manifests, whether that's good or bad. And so if you have a person in your life that was really bad to you, really mean to you, and you keep on saying to yourself, "I'm never going to become like such and such," you'll become like such and such. You
Wow.
focus on it so much. So um, you can do whatever you choose to do, whatever you set your mind to, and you may not have had a wonderful life on earth. Well, you can get a restart in heaven.
Wow.
Heaven can be a restart for you. But Michael Jackson was a popular artist on earth, but him and John Lennon have totally transformed heaven.
Wow.
Michael Jackson was just someone people listened to. They got entertained by, but they didn't get changed by. The people of heaven have been transformed by that music. When John Lennon and Michael Jackson started singing about God's pain and Jesus' pain, people had no understanding that exists. You reading this book have got no idea how depressed and how sad God is, and you haven't even
Wow.
got a framework to understand it. But if you're in heaven and you listen to the last 100 songs that John Lennon has written, you'd have a big understanding. You may not believe it, you'd have an understanding that it exists. And so your life can make an impact no matter who you are, no matter how you are, no matter who a little person you are. Yet Jesus told a parable. He said the mustard seed can grow into the biggest tree. It's such a minute seed. Jesus spoke to people like you in that parable, saying, no matter how small you are, you can make a big difference. Jesus said, the last should be first and the first should be last. He was talking
Wow.
about people like you, people who are
Wow.
last, that are not considered as anything, who haven't got a great reputation. They can go to places and be awarded places in heaven that are first. You can work on your life over the next 10 years after reading this book and become close to Jesus, become a very honest and transparent person, find out what your purpose is and live your purpose to your full extent. And you can go to heaven and find yourself in realm 7. You can
Mm.
do amazing things, even as a person with no reputation. God bless.
Wow. Thank you. As we close, learning is not a phase, it is a way of life. Through humility, through transparency, through relationship, you grow, you evolve, you become. Not by striving, but by staying open. And when you begin to see that, you stop chasing answers and you begin to embrace the lifelong joyful process of becoming. God bless.
God bless you.